right. What is going on? Let me get a couple things together here. Already got the first thing up. Already got a couple people in. So, yes it is. It's time. How was my weekend? Well, I didn't really have one. That's the way it is right now. If you're, I don't know about everywhere else necessarily, but most of the people currently working in logistics, we're living there right now. The orders are up so ridiculously that I'm basically I'm just living there. I work no less than 6 days a week. In a lot of cases, sometimes 10 hours a day, every single day. And then right now, there's even a lot of people, even in my facility, that are also doing 7s because they're there on Sundays too. So yeah, the OT has been pretty real. A couple of news things to drop. One, Jade went live, and I didn't know about it. So, when I opened Fire, remember we talked about that for some reason my mind played tricks on me and told me, oh man, you need Jade, like an idiot. And I bought Fire wanting Jade. Then they announced Jade. Then because the way toys are, there's not really like release dates necessarily. Sometimes there are and sometimes there are not. And so they said, hey, like they put a notice up about like 5 hours ago. McFarlane did, like, hey, it's up for pre-order. And I was like, crap, because I don't spend all my life on X or whatever. So by the time I got on and noticed that it was even a thing, she was gone. So like the pre-orders went up for things like GameStop and things like that. And as far as I am aware, the two places that I checked, the two links that I found, she's gone already, the pre-order wise. However, they said that she will start showing up at select retailers at the end of May. So I guess I'm going to cross my fingers on this one and keep an eye on like there's a local store that used to be a game store here. It used to be a GameStop, but they basically don't carry games. They carry literally only toys. Like from the front of the store to the back of the store, it's just toys. Like there's one wall in the back that has a couple of games because that store is literally, it's like a what did he call it? Because when I walked in there, I was a little confused, and he said, oh, if you're looking for games, that's not us. We're not a game store. I was like, so and he's like, yeah, we're a product store. He's like, all fan memorabilia, so toys and things like that. And I was like, yes, toy store. So I make stops in there frequently and talk to that guy. So I'm going to try my luck there. So yeah, missed Jade. That's the first part of the news. Do I have a Jack Black action figure? No. No. Is that normal? Do people have that? It's because she's green. And yeah, that's exactly, my mind played tricks on me back when I bought Fire. I remember seeing her in a store and I grabbed her and said, oh man, sweet. If I'm going to be putting together the JSA, I definitely want Jade, right? And then I remember, without even thinking about it, I walked to the front. It was in an overstock store, so I wasn't thinking. I was just looking at the deal. $10, sweet. It didn't do me any favors. The whole review of that figure. Even my daughter watched that review, and when she met up with me on the weekend, she goes, Dad, I saw that girl you opened. And I said, what? She goes, the green one. I said, oh yeah. She goes, she's trash. It's like, oh my gosh. Dude, it's crazy, man. Yeah, and when the pre-orders do, they hit so hard and so fast that oftentimes I end up missing them. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? I do not. That is certainly a thing that I have, maybe because of the whole, is it because of the whole Fortnite thing? Is that, no, Fortnite. Minecraft. I know what it is. I have no idea why my mind went to Fortnite. I mean, probably because I've been watching a bunch of gaming news stuff lately. And so I think that's why my mind went, but whatever. Let's see. You know what else is green? She-Hulk. She-Hulk. I did get that. I did get that. My order went through on the She-Hulk. She-Hulk is on the way, so that's fantastic because it's fantastic. That's definitely something I want. Upcoming videos for the second thing in my news here. On this channel, I got to talk about Hasbro and the Marvel license coming up. I got a topic for something I refer to as hobby hate, so that's going to be a pretty big video on here in terms of just topic videos, because I'm trying to line a lot more topic talk into the stuff that we're doing. And then I also did a video that I think kind of needs to be done, which is 5 things to keep in mind if you're going to start collecting. Because I can't help but notice a lot of people do reviews and things like that, but never really talk about the ins and outs of like what to look out for when collecting and what to think about if you're trying to get into a new line or something like that. So that's a big thing. Let's see, if McFarlane did a Kevin Conroy tribute figure as a 2-pack with the animated, any interest? Hold on. Are you asking if he did a Kevin Conroy figure? Or if he just released like the animated Batman? Like, is that what you're asking me? I'm curious what you're asking me. Now, if you were considering, I actually think that Kevin Conroy, if you were to do like a collection pack to honor him, you could probably get 4 or 5 Batmans. You could literally make a giant pack out of those. Like, they could be a literal pack. Because, I mean, you're talking about, this is a guy that's done many different Batmans, and some that we really haven't seen in figure form yet in terms of, like, the animated stuff. Like, we haven't seen, he did the voice during, of course, Batman the Animated Series. And then if you went on from that, you'd think about Justice League. And if you went on from that, you'd probably add one of the video games. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you went on from that, it might be a good idea to kind of like throw in 1 or 2 of the animated movies that he did that were different art styles and everything. He would, I mean, that would be crazy. He did a Super Friends version. What? I didn't know. What? I didn't know that. You just kind of sidewinded me on that one. I had no clue. Let's see. I wonder what that is you're talking about. I'd be interested to see that. Okay. So first off is I know that's over there. I know that's over there. Oh. That's one that's waiting. Oh, cool. You know what? Yeah. All right, that is our first, because he's one. Okay, so the first one up tonight is DC, which, surprise, surprise, DC has been knocking these out lately. So we'll see where this leads us. It was a Ben 10 commercial? Oh my gosh, I had no idea that that was even a thing. Of course, I never watched Ben 10, not really. I caught it like an episode here and there in passing, but never like focused on it. I remember it coming on Toonami, but it was right around the time that I was kind of starting to step away from Toonami and just kind of watch my own anime, you know, like things that I specifically bought or wanted. So it kind of slipped under the radar and disappeared for me. So it was never really necessarily something that I watched. Though I know a good portion of people seem to have liked it. I wonder if it would have been a show that had it caught me at the right time, like had it just been a year earlier, maybe I would have ended up watching that. Because, I mean, it seems kind of neat. It doesn't seem like it's a bad show or nothing like that. Let me move this over here. There. Okay, so we're off to a start. That'd be surprising because that guy's lost almost every single time that we've done one of these. Let's see. The actors who played the Justice League voiced the Super Friends version. I'd have to see this. That'd be wild. I remember during like Adult Swim there were Super Friends like joke videos, but I don't think I've ever seen this thing you're talking about. Whole Marvel licensing gossip was funny because so many people were saying Hasbro is going to lose it, and then they renewed it. Yeah, I do talk about that, because, I mean, it would have taken something catastrophic to rip that license away and put an end to Marvel Legends. I mean, look, for all the complaining people do about Marvel Legends, and not that some of it isn't warranted, but for all the complaining people do, I always tell people this. This is our hobby. That's fine. But it's their business. And when you're talking about business, first and foremost, the reason they'll get rid of people, money. The reason they'll automate, money. The reason they'll bring in new equipment, money. The reason they'll force you to use tools that basically can't even get the job done and then blame you for not being able to do it until the last like 14, 15 people have been fired and then they have no choice but to replace the tool. Money. Business is all money, 1,000%. And you know what Marvel Legends does? It makes money. Consistently. I know people like to talk about Wally's and they like to say, oh, look at all this stuff that goes to Wally's, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to claim that certain lines don't go to Wally's. But in the grand scheme of things, I would tell you that 80%, if not more, of Marvel Legends sells right off the shelves, right down from the online retailers, right into people's hands, and does not often, as much as people would like to think, go to things like Wally's. I really don't think it happens as much as people think. It's just that you see consistent certain waves and overstock go to places like that. But I mean, I don't think it happens the way that people seem to think that it does. Lex Luthor said people are a dime a dozen. I mean, sadly, if you're looking at business, it's true, man. It's disgusting, but it's true. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, how you doing? Yes, he is. And I'm actually surprised about that because he's appeared on this list 4 or 5 times, and every time he's appeared, he's lost. I've been wanting to open that for like months. And every time we win the bid and every time he goes up on the chat, he loses. Every single time. It kind of blows my mind that it looks like I'm finally going to get to open that. What if Frazetta Girls did Motu crossover? First off, I don't know how it would work. I would love to see a Frazetta take on something like Tila or the Sorceress or something of that nature. But the problem is that the Frazetta Girls stuff, the Frazetta Icons line, has so far only done things that he has specifically painted. So like, because I remember a lot of people were like confused when they said, oh, we're doing Vampirella. And people were like, Frazetta didn't create Vampirella, blah, blah, blah. I remember seeing these comments that were coming up. Oh, Frazetta didn't do Vampirella. That has nothing to do with Frazetta, blah, blah, blah. But while he didn't create the character, he did make the comic covers as well as a couple of honest paintings that went the distance. And because of that, in fact, he did two paintings specifically. One is very, very famous, where it's her sitting there with like the crocodile thing coming up behind her, that lizard thing. That's a very famous one. But the two that really catch a lot of people's attention is Frazetta specifically did the original first comic cover and then followed that up with a redo of that cover in a painting where he redid that cover with her in the nude, and it sold for quite a bit of money from what I'm understanding. And so, like, those are Frazetta things. And then I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, Frazetta Girls is going to do Red Sonja. And while he did a book cover that I'm aware of. He did a book cover, and then he also did a painting that is based on her called The Huntress, or at least that his granddaughter has seemed to confirm that they may have a way in, but it would be a very different version than what people know for Red Sonja. It would look different compared to what people have gotten used to comic book wise and things like that. And while a lot of people still do Frank Frazetta inspired covers for her in that style and whatnot, it kind of looks like his work. He, as far as I am aware, did not do it, and Icons has been really, really hard on about doing things that he did. Like the Conan we're about to get, that's the Conan from his book covers. It's not the Conan from the comics necessarily. And so that, I love it. Don't get me wrong, I ordered the crap out of that Conan. But yeah, like it very much makes me wonder what they can do if they stick to that idea. How far are they allowed to go? What are they allowed not to touch? Like you said, Frazetta Girls and a Motu crossover, can they do that without breaking away from what the design is, what that line is meant to be? I don't know. I don't know if they can do that. I think he's winning this time finally. I don't know. See, that's like you said that right there. I had my Tigra break, but nothing else that I have gotten from Frazetta so far has broke or even come close to doing so. No matter how much I pose, no matter how much I move, no matter what I do. And even this one, like, her one leg broke, but like, as you can see, I just like got unlucky. I did put a comment into to Frazetta Girls asking what the chances are of helping me out with that, and I never got an answer. So I'm just gonna bite it, and I'm gonna buy her off big bad. That's a big drop. I really didn't want to do that, but I'm gonna do it because I have the entire line, and I would hate to be later on without Tigra for no real reason, because I have the ability to do it right now. Oh, hey, that's what the actual name is. Risotto Girls. Oh. Hey, man, what's going on? Joe Jusko, Olivia Bell figures, but would love a Frazetta Girls Tila. Yeah, I know what you meant. No, absolutely. I'd love to see, but that's where things get tricky. And this is what I mean. This is where things get really tricky. If we did this, you would be making an assumption of what he would do. We would not actually know the style that he would have done. Like, what would he do with a Tila? What would he do with the Sorceress? What would he do with She-Ra? It's very hard to say. You can speculate, and you can get some fantastic artists that are good at copying his style. But Frazetta was one of those guys that he would get an idea and he would go in and he would paint. And then when he found it was done, then it was done. And so if he didn't feel it, he didn't paint it, period. Which is why sometimes you get like really weird works of art from him that are like really off the wall because like one day he just had a weird thing like, oh, you know what would be fun? And then he just went and did it. And then other times you get this really serious thing. And even though, like, and even if you look up some of his history, there were times that he would give his stuff to somebody, like to use, and then he would feel like they disrespected his artwork or that he wasn't paid fairly, and he'd cut business ties. It would not matter what they did or said after that point. He would be done with them because to him, the art was real. He was what you would consider a real artist. Even the things he sold, even the things he did for money, which of course we do things for money, still had the artist's integrity because he would not be taken advantage of, and he wouldn't just do it because he was told to do it. He had to have that feeling at the time to want to do it, or he didn't feel like it was right to do it. Let's see. I wonder what Todd would have done differently if he got a hold of the Marvel license. It was among the whole gossip thing if Hasbro was to... And I wondered that myself, and I said my biggest issue would have been something like Spider-Man. Would he do Spider-Man, and could he do it justice? And then I looked at a couple of the figures that he's done that do actually move in Spider-Man-esque poses. Because I was on like a site where I could like see like, you know, posing photography and whatnot. And I saw a couple of things from the Frazetta lines, not Frazetta, sorry, from the McFarlane lines that very much made me feel like if he wanted to do it, he could do it. The real issue that comes up in that is how do I put this? To keep costs low is my guess. That's how he's maintained his price points. He also doesn't like to advance things. So you'd have a lot of people jumping in immediately with, where's the pinless technology? Where's this? I don't like this. These are ugly. Blah, blah, portions, yada, yada. But then portions are a funny thing to me. And Todd is a master of it. Todd was in comic books. That's where he started. And comic book people don't look like people. Todd existed in the 90s for comic book art. And if you remember, the ladies in the comic book world during that time, they looked a certain way. And the guys looked a certain way. And none of them looked human. Batman has one. I mean, if you really get down to it, none of them looked human. Like, everybody is exaggerated. His Spider-Man is exaggerated. That guy doesn't look like a human. Like, people don't look like him. That's why he could do the poses that he could do. It's the reason why action figures have always had a really tough time getting Spider-Man right, because Spider-Man would take these absolute inhuman poses because he would warp the anatomy. Comic books, those people normally have exaggerated proportions. And when you do that, and you do a figure of it, and people get mad like the legs are wrong and blah, 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 and the portions are all weird, well, that's comic books. That's an artistic styling. And you're looking at a guy who was in comic books who very much will emphasize the parts of the figure that he wants emphasized to get the effects that he wants. But would that translate well coming off of Marvel Legends? Would you come off of Marvel Legends and then have a whole new group of people that have to leave what they're already doing, Marvel Legends, and then go into his line and like try to buy his figures? And how many people would be so against it with the same arguments we've already had as if Todd took the line backwards and never give it the actual time of day to see if he has something up his sleeve, if he could deliver some figures that the others simply didn't do as well as he would do. I don't know, it's hard to say. And also I would guarantee that under his watch, we would get a lot of things that we would have never got. Because think about how many times he's given us vehicles and motorcycles and things like that we simply do not get in a size scale like this. These figures right here often do not show up with a Batmobile or a helicopter or a Batwing or a motorcycle. It's not a thing. But you better believe we'd probably get a Fantasticar. We'd probably get a Blackbird and some cool things like that, a Quinjet. There's a very real possibility that under his watch he'd be willing to take certain risks that Marvel Legends just simply isn't willing to take. Because Marvel Legends, at the end of the day, like I said, it knows what it wants to do. It wants to sell figures, and right now, it's doing that. Why change? Why take the risk? They don't need to. They don't want to. And quite frankly, I don't know if I blame them sometimes, because sometimes you take a risk and it bites you and it shuts down your entire toy line. It happens. Guess it's time to bust out the memes since Thrawn clearly won. He did. Do you think Todd is going to do TMNT right or do them justice? Here's my problem. Todd is doing Mortal Kombat and Ninja Turtles. Both of these I have a decent interest in. Both of these kind of screw me. I have the Ninja Turtles I want. They're up there. I have them. I'm done. Do I want to jump into a McFarlane Turtles line? Not necessarily, which means that more than likely I won't. Because if I do, I don't want to get myself into a situation where I'm stuck with them. However, I know that Todd likes to do giant characters as well. We've got a lot of giant characters out of Todd. Look at things like Doomsday. Look at things like Necron. Look at things like Atom Smasher. These are giant characters. That's pretty cool. We get giant characters from him. Atrocitus. Kilowog. We get giant characters. That means that more than likely, that Ninja Turtles line is going to have 4 turtles, which are pretty solid turtles, and he may follow them up with giant versions of Bebop, of Rocksteady, of Rock Soldiers. Like, that's really cool. So I'm really torn on the Ninja Turtles thing. This could be a really good line for him, especially because, like I said, he comes from comics. Give him something comics to do, he will mess around with the proportions, and he will probably give us some standout figures if you're willing to give them a shot. The other thing, however, Mortal Kombat. I see it and I go, that's cool. 2 things here. One, it's an incredible missed opportunity. Missed opportunity. Why? Because Mortal Kombat is not the game license he should have grabbed. Period. You know what he should have got? He should have got the rights to do Soul Calibur and started on Soul Calibur 2, because if I'm not mistaken, he did all, if not a big portion of the artwork, and even loaned 2 of his characters. Like, there's that one crazy looking guy with the thing on his chest that does like the random fighting things or whatever. I can't even remember his name right now. But that guy's a McFarlane character. And Spawn. And so, like, right off the bat, you have an entire line specifically designed for McFarlane to do. He did it. Like, there's no reason not to let him do it. He already has like artwork that he specifically did and whatnot. So, like, why not just let him go the extra mile and go for it? Like, that would have been so sick. But then he gets Mortal Kombat and he starts doing these figures. And the only thing I would want Mortal Kombat for is to fight my Street Fighter. But they're not going to be the right scale, because they're going to be McFarlane scale. They're going to be big Mortal Kombat guys, and they will not fit the scale that I need for them to fight my Street Fighter Jada, and I am not about to spend $100 a piece, basically, on Storm Collectible Street Fighters. I'm not going to do it. So, like, that puts me at a weird stalemate with these next 2 lines, as I have no idea if I should touch them. Because they have crash points in both directions that make them risks for me. I will say the McFarlane design for Spider-Man is cool, but his mask is so bad. Why does he have the... That's a you thing. That's a you thing. My favorite Spider-Men have had the big eyes. All my favorite Spider-Men have had the big eyes. Every single one of them. Like, that's one of my favorite features is the big crazy eyes. And if I had to give you a practical reason, a real life reason why he has these big things for eyes, I'm going to tell you right now. If you were doing what he did with the spider sense and the movement and the things like that and the fighting and the swinging and the jumping and the moving, the way that he fights, the way that he moves, if these are a type of see-through lens, right? He needs to be able to see all his peripheral. That's why. The original eyes that did like this, even guys that have worn the mask have specifically said it's hard to see. Every actor that has worn the mask has said that your peripheral is really messed up. You can't see while you're in the mask. So in real life, and I know it's comic books, but in real life, if you were to put that mask on, if you were to put it over your face, and your eyes were only like the basic cool eyes, and especially since Spider-Man has those like lenses and whatnot, he wouldn't be able to see. But McFarlane Spider-Man with the big eyes, Bagley Spider-Man with the big eyes, you would see everything. Nothing would be hindered. Then there's also the removal or the suspension of disbelief because the eyes, like, they stretch down and they open one big and they do all this stuff that, like, a mask certainly cannot do. But I actually have always loved the big eyes. That's another reason I'm very much looking forward to the Maximum Spider-Man, because I want that Spider-Man head. I saw a 112 import of 300 Leonidas. Dude, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Depending on what it is, I think you could do some really cool stuff with, like, historical figures. Like, I think you could do some really cool stuff with historical figures. Let's see, 90s Catwoman solo series had Catwoman with exaggerated proportions. Absolutely, they did. And they made her. That's one of the McFarlane figures that they made. She's on my shelf right now, and I guess she's one of the ones that a lot of people are mad that I guess she didn't have a big release. I thought everybody could have got her because I just got her right off a Walmart shelf. Never thought anything about it. I think Hasbro may have gotten the license again. It absolutely did. Yep. I have a video coming that's going to talk about it. Seems like nobody here knows who Atom Smasher is. How did Captain Cold get more percentage than Wundy? So Atom Smasher, in case that is true, he's a JSA old superhero. To put it simply, his powers are grow big, be strong, be hard to hurt. This was back when heroes didn't need much anything else than a simple gimmick. He's kind of like Giant Man. He gets big. Because he gets big, he has like a super toughness, and he has a whole lot of power, and that's kind of what he is. I'm simplifying because comic books, they always like to add, but that's pretty much what he is. He's an old hero back when your powers could be get really big, get really strong. One thing I'm going to miss when Mattel gets DC is vehicles for, that's exact. I was just talking about that. No, those are going to go away. You will not see that anymore. Absolutely. Because he is willing to take a chance on something like that. And most others are not willing to chance that. They're not willing to do it. Is it Necrid? Thank you. That's his name. Necrid. That's the soul. Yes. No to Todd Soul Calibur. Maybe Todd Grand Theft Auto action figures. No, I would love to see... First off, I would love to see Soul Calibur figures in general. And if it was under his watch, I have a feeling since he has a personal hand in the second game anyway, he'd give us some really sweet figures. I really do. I don't hate Spider-Man having big eyes, but McFarlane's look, weird shape, I love it. But that was my era, man. That was my Spider-Man. Todd make merchandise based on Soul Calibur 4. Unfortunately, they were mid-2000s posable statues. I don't think the line took off much like his... That's sad, too. That's absolutely sad. And no, I have seen those Metal Gear figures. See, that's like, I wish he had the license now. Like, you could say what you want about McFarlane figures, but they're good enough for the price range that they're at to really get some cool figures out there. And man, if he was doing Metal Gear, Soul Calibur, like, oh man, I'd be into that. I'd so be into that. Nuclear energy supervillain. Nope, no, he's not. But let's go ahead and get the first one done, shall we? And that's a big one, to be fair. Let me move that. Okay. Batman, Flashpoint, and Reverse Flash. And that's what I'm going to call him. So, I know that this, specifically, even on the box, says that that is Professor Zoom. And it's not wrong, but that's not what I'm going to call him. Because I understand, the continuity of this is a mess, okay? He is the Reverse Flash. He is also Professor Zoom. If you look it up, it's a pain. It's one of those comic book things that only if you were really keeping up did you actually know that this became a problem in general, and still people are using the name interchangeably, even though technically at this point in time, like, it's a mess. But I'm not going to worry about that mess, because the only thing I'm worried about specifically is that I finally got this. Guys, this is one of my favorite storylines in all of comic books. And I'm not kidding when I say that. There was something about Flashpoint. I don't know if it was just done at the right time or the right way. I don't know. I just don't know if maybe it was just that I had the free time to really enjoy it. There are some things sometimes that just hit right. Like they just do it for you. And I'm telling you, Flashpoint was it for me. I loved Flashpoint. I was really enjoying it. I don't know. Because, like, I've seen other things where they're like, oh, try this Elseworld thing. And I'm like, nah. And right now they're doing crazy. They're like it seems like every other month I hear about some sort of event or reboot or change or new thing. And I'm like, eh. Like, I just don't have any desire whatsoever to, like, run out and buy the comic books. But because I was currently reading at the time, and then Flashpoint hit, and I was reading, and I think because I kept up with it and I saw all of it, and at the time we had just started the podcast, so we were out there we just started the podcast years ago, we called ourselves the Chairs or something, if I'm remembering right. Like, the show was the Four Chairs, but then was it Comic Legacy? Was it just Pages of Fandom that started it? I'm trying to remember, because the podcast was different. The podcast was me, actually, he called himself Professor Zoom, and a couple of other guys. And we specifically talked comic books. And then later on, I think it became Pages of Fandom, but there was a different one before that. And when that show was on, when I was doing that show, this was happening. So we were like in real time coming and talking about it and sharing all our thoughts on it and talking about how cool it was to see what was going on. And then as soon as this was done, like all the new 52 books started coming out, and we like started getting a couple of those, and some of them hit with us and some of them didn't, and some were confusing and some were a pain, and some were just like, this is where it's at, this is good, this is an absolute perfect restart. So like, it was just the right time for me that this hit the way it did. And I love the concept of Bruce Wayne dies and Thomas ends up taking up that mantle. How he chose a bat, I think it had to do with the fact that his son was afraid of them. So like there's a whole thing like that. So there's kind of something written into the story that actually makes it plausible. But I mean, he was brutal. He was old. Like, he used guns. Like, this was a different Batman than we were expecting. It just hit the right way at the time that I saw it. Guys, that's enough. I've talked. Let's open this thing. Okay. Quick update. I like that the 2-pack came with this. I can use that. It'll be for close-up shots, but this is actually big enough to be useful for like some Marvel Legends scenes. That's cool. That impresses me. Normally, these backdrops are not big enough to actually make any real use of. This is. I'm going to keep this. I think I can repurpose this. I think I can use this. Okay, well, that was a legit pain. At first, I thought it was going to be very simple because I went to open it and there were only like 2 of these twisty tie things that he loves to use. And I said, oh, great. Thank you for that. only to figure out that for some reason the plastic coffin, I mean, it had a grip tougher than any one that I've opened so far. It did not want to let these figures go. Like, at all. Did not want to do it. So, let's go ahead and get into these. Because, boy oh boy. First off, in the 2-pack, we do get... Oh, this is interesting. Okay. So, in the 2-pack, of course, we get Flashpoint Batman, which absolutely, that's fantastic. I love the Flashpoint Batman design in general. I don't love this. I wish that we would have already reached a point where they would have redone this and like made this the cape that I like, the actual wireframe cape. Or if nothing else, just a normal laying down cloth cape. That at least would have been preferable. I don't like the rubber capes, but I will get over it. The gun holsters and whatnot, they move, they're loose. The face is kind of somber looking. And he's not, he's just the way that he looks. It works for me because you're looking at the man who lost his son. So I like the fact that we didn't get like an angry face for him. He kind of very much does look like he's looking down. And that's really cool because I can make use of that by the fact that they gave us this and the Bruce Wayne tombstone. That's cool. I plan to put this, the Frazetta tombstones, and a painting that I found, and put it all together and build like a graveyard. I'm in the process of doing that right now, and this was one of the figures that I had to open up in order to do it. I love how the gauntlets are different as well. Like these are like tougher gauntlets than what you would have seen on like a Batman. They're thick and they're heavy. His suit, for the time that we're talking about, when like Batman would run around and like very much looked like he had like, just a shirt on and whatnot. Like there's a lot of plating and whatnot here. Like this guy looks tough. I will say, I'm looking at this and I don't exactly love the ball joints the way that they're being done here. But that's just an old figure thing in general. I don't think it's destroying me necessarily. I'm going to get over it, but it's noticeable. It's noticeable on this Batman figure, where on some other Batman figures, you really don't notice the ball joints. You kind of get over it. But these figures do very blatantly have the ball joint hands and whatnot. I don't think it's as noticeable on the gloves where it makes me kind of notice it, but it's really noticeable down here at the ankles that there's like a very hard split in this armor plate and then a ball and then his foot. That's noticeable. I am noticing that. I love the bat symbol. This was one of the coolest Batman costumes that has ever existed. Literally ever. And I don't know exactly how or why, but this one, in the 2-pack, they actually gave us the guns. Removable guns. And that is a big deal because the other Batmans were not able to do that, whether they were, and even some characters like Deathstroke came with the sword, but would not get any guns. Heck, they even released a couple of figures that were specifically known for guns that didn't come with guns because it was like not okay at the time. I know that like Warner Brothers has this big thing about no, you can't do that with the toys, blah blah blah, and there's certain ways around it. And this is one of those packs that definitely found the way around it. So we actually got, this is probably the best version of this we can get. That somber face is really good. And then we have a really serious, scowling, angry Batman head, which is everything I want it to be, man. It's everything I want it to be. It's awesome. And for what it's worth, we're going to pop the head. He does come with the cowl, so that's a cool little effect. So if he does pull the cowl off, he has the cowl. But for my shelf in general, we're just going to put this Batman head on. We're going to put this Batman head on. Oh no, come on. There it is. I can't seem to get that to want to stay on there. Almost wonder if I'll need to heat them up. I'm going to heat them up to get it on there. Because I noticed that it's fighting with me. I mean, I can force it, but I don't want to necessarily take any risks either, because I've already had one figure that broke. I like the smaller ears on the Batman cowl, though. But regardless, yeah, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on. I may have to heat that up a little bit and force it onto there, because when I go to force it down, this moves, and that could just be me being unsteady, but it could also be that this is very exact. Yeah, I'm almost thinking for sure, because when I'm looking in here, the ball in there looks thicker than the one here, like this one's tighter, and that's going to be an issue. I'm going to have to heat them up in order to fix that. Let me fix the camera real quick before we go to the next part of this. Okay, so next, let's check out the Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash has a lot of the same issues. It doesn't seem as bad in terms of his feet. The ball joints really don't bother me on a boot like this, so that's fine. Otherwise, everything here is practically the exact same thing that we saw on the Barry Allen Flash that we looked over. I'm seeing, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a complete body reuse. I mean, this looks very familiar. I really think this is just a body reuse. And you know what? That's fine for the figure that this is. I don't think that breaks my heart at all. I think that works very well. I don't think it's a problem. I will say, however, he has this angry screaming head, which is kind of cool because he's kind of losing it and everything, and that's really cool. But then they take this super serious angry head, and he also gets the cowl piece, which is cool. And then they give him his other head, which that head just went right on there. So I do think it's that Batman head. But this one, and I guess it works, he's just kind of like smug, and that works for him for what it's worth, but it is kind of funny that he's kind of got like a smug look, where I almost would have liked if he had a super angry face, but I guess one could argue it might not have made sense for the storyline that we were looking at here, because when he does finally show up, he is kind of smug and really handing it to him and being like, hey man, you caused this. I'm not the bad guy here. So that's kind of cool. In the long run, I don't hate that either. I actually think that works for me. Now that I've had a good moment to kind of look it over and think about it, I do like that. I do like it, actually. They do come also with these two weapons, and I don't really think that I necessarily have anything to say about them. They're there. Chances are I will probably never use this sword realistically. I don't see any purpose to it necessarily. And this, I don't really have much purpose for that in terms of the kind of shots and setups that I'm going to do. So that is that. And we have added these figures to the shelf. I got to heat this head up to get it on there. But otherwise, nothing for me to complain about here. Back to the chat. Let me check this. I'm getting messages. Skip that, skip that, skip that, skip that. I'll have to check that later. Okay, so let's see what everybody is talking about. Let's see. I have to give props to Todd's Kiss Psycho Circus comic figures. I have not seen them. What's the difference between Thrawn and Zoom? I thought they were the same person. So here's the thing. Thrawn, Zoom, Reverse Flash. Thrawn is his name. So because, and I actually think it's being put right down here. So isn't Professor Zoom? His name is like, yeah, it's Hunter Zolomon, but Thrawn ended up taking the name Professor Zoom. It's a very comic books pain in the butt thing. The name is almost interchangeable at this point if you're reading the comic books and whatnot. And depending on what they're doing, it's kind of a mess. Like, you can literally look up an entire, like, long Wikipedia, oh my gosh, this is why thing. There is a point at which he kind of took the name and then they started using it, but then they kind of switch back and forth depending on the situation. And, like, it's a real pain. Hunter Zolomon is always Professor Zoom. But Eobard Thrawn is sometimes Professor Zoom, sometimes Reverse Flash. I just find it easier to constantly refer to him as Reverse Flash because that is how I know him, but I know that he uses both names, and that's a real pain. I've read comics where they will specifically say that they're dealing with Zoom, and then they'll say his name, and I'll be like, oh, okay, so it's not Zolomon. Dang it. Like, it's a pain. It really bothers me sometimes. Let's see. The movie wasn't bad either. Oh, no, absolutely. It was good. No, I liked that movie. Yeah, they take certain liberties here and there, but sometimes it really does work out. That Flashpoint movie is solid. Love Flashpoint animated by Gotham. Love Flashpoint animated and Gotham by Gaslight. That I have not got to see yet. The animated Flashpoint was really good. The memes are hilarious. It was me, Barry. I'm the one who made you microwave a baby in your movie. And your celebrity is... Oh, man. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Oh. Yeah, until you just did that, I'd basically forgotten about that. I saw that movie once and never went back for seconds. Only a matter of time before we get a Todd Elseworld Batman leather wing figure. That would be kind of neat. And yeah, and Martha was the Joker. Yes, she was. I wonder if there's a Martha Wayne Batwoman Elseworld out there. That would be neat. Let's see. Reverse Flash has always been interesting to me. His hatred of Barry Allen made him go back in time to attempt to kill him, only to kill his mom and to create the Flash. Let's see. Luckily, I was able to get the 89 gold label Batmobile last month, so I have my three favorites, 66, 89, 95. My favorite Batmobile ever is still the 66. I have no idea why. It's my favorite Batmobile. Glad I got it, because when he loses DC, I'm sure all the vehicles will be screwed. No, absolutely it will. I do not see Mattel doing vehicles. I think that is, without a doubt, a thing of the past. I often say that for all the stuff you can give McFarlane will take chances that you simply will not see other companies take. You will not see it. You're one hell of a messenger. Let's see. It's crazy. It's crazy he was close to Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Thomas Wayne Batman. Dude, I know. Dude, that would have been so sick. When they first showed him, right, as Wayne, as Thomas Wayne, I said, oh, tell me we're moving towards Flashpoint. Like, that was the first thing I said, because I wanted that. Now you need a drill. Its smug face for Thrawn is just total thinking thinking 100,000 million possible ways to send a mess. Thomas Bat symbol is incredibly amazing. I love it. It's, man, my eyes. Thomas bat symbol is incredibly amazing. I love it. It's a bat in front of a blood moon and a lunar eclipse. Nice. Yeah, it absolutely is. Dude, it's so cool. It's so cool. It really stands out too. It feels like his bat symbol. Like we've seen alterations of the bat symbol over the years, but like that just feels like it's his. Like you can't really put it on somebody else and have it work. Where we've seen like the big bat, we've seen the smaller bats, we've seen the no emblem, we've seen the oval. Like we've seen all different kinds of bat symbols over the years, but like that just feels like it's his bat symbol. Let's see. Oh. Okay, so let's do this. And, you know what? Why not? Boop. There's our next thing right there. So let's see here. Where did I get the Power Ranger shirt? It was I don't think I bought it, in all honesty. I think this one was given to me. I'm trying to remember if it was Christmas, if it may have been from Shane. I know I don't remember buying it. I think this is one that was given to me, in all honesty. Not gonna lie, feel like my last Marvel Legends purchase will be Fantastic Four Era Shulky. Just got ROM not long ago, but I don't want to open him because damn super unfriendly to collectors back card packing. Really? Though I just got the Figure Rise Standard Common Rider 01. So you think you're done with Marvel Legends? You don't think they'll ever pull you back in for another figure? You think that's the end of it? You think that? I've heard a lot of people say that. That's a big statement for a line that's gone a decade and has another 6 years ahead of it. Apparently come May, Busch Gardens is doing a Power Ranger stage show. That'd be wild. I went to one of those when I was a kid. I went to one of those Power Ranger stage shows when I was a kid. Like Mighty Morphin. And I remember at the end of it, they blew up, like, because they had like a Lord Zed thing that happened and whatnot, and they blew up this giant balloon of like Lord Zed. So like the way they did it was like the Rangers were like fighting putties and whatnot, and then this balloon starts blowing up back the stage, and it's so its staff is coming out and everything, and it takes full form and everything, and then there's this point where they do something, and then I remember this part because it like scared me. There's like a big boom. I don't think they actually popped the balloon, but like there's like a big boom and all these pyrotechnics go off and a bunch of confetti flies everywhere, and they like do something that kind of like I think it's like a reverse vacuum that sucks the balloon down, because like as soon as that boom happens, he like starts pulling in, and then all of a sudden like he's not. I remember that part of the show specifically being like, oh my god, and when the boom happened it was like boom, and I was like, oh my god. I remember specifically like jumping and being like, oh shit, I think I'm done. Maybe every so often I might come back, but for now done. And I get that everybody has a moment where they kind of step away, but Marvel Legends is huge. I'm always surprised and I think it's because I've watched so many people on YouTube and otherwise that go, they won't get another dollar from me, and then like 3 releases later they're like, oh, and they see something they want. Because look, Marvel Legends can dig deep, man. When I pre-ordered Fantastic Four She-Hulk, I almost had a heart attack when it said my card was invalid. Turns out it was, oh man. Yes, I can understand that. But you know, she didn't sell as fast as I thought she was going to either. I don't know if they just expected it this time or what, because She-Hulk sold out fast. Like I remember she went up, and if you didn't get her, tough. You had to wait for a resupply. But this one, it seemed like she was on Big Bad for like a couple days, that she was like easily accessible. Latest toys I got were the Jada Street Fighter Sagat and Blanca. I haven't got them in hand, but I have them pre-ordered. And I'm noticing that my pre-orders are taking their time. Like, I don't know what is going on, but it's almost getting to the point where sometimes I'm ordering from Big Bad or Entertainment Earth, and I'm finding them on store shelves, canceling my pre-orders and buying them direct before these. Like, I don't know why that's happening, because it didn't used to happen like that to me. That Power Rangers Live, I have that on DVD. Really? Okay. Well, that's neat then. There's a Power Rangers convention happening in Atlanta soon. They got the Quantum Ranger from Time Force. Fun fact, did you know Devil May Cry Virgil is the Quantum Ranger? No. No, I don't think that... Was that information I knew? I'm literally arguing with myself right now, because it sounds like it's familiar, but it sounds like it's something that I don't know firsthand, but know because I've been told, and then kind of like forget, and then it comes back to me. I feel like that's what I'm dealing with there. By the way, Bill, you ever own the black and gold repainted OG Megazord? Honestly, one of the things they did... Nope, I don't own it. I skipped on it because I had a chance at the Dragon Zord, the Dragon Dagger, and the Megazord in that color scheme. I found all three of them, and I skipped all three of them because I was like, if I'm going to buy one for my shelf, I want something more original, so I passed on it. However, Shane, Proto Guy, did buy the black and gold. I can't remember if he got the Megazord and the Dragon Zord or just the Dragon Zord, but he did get one of those. Let's see, anyone else have that problem where you pre-order with a deposit and meantime your card issue expires? Oh man. Yes. I had an entire wave of figures that were coming. And they were like 5-6 months down the road, and my card expired and I'd forgot. And then they sent me like a processing email, and they were like, your card has been declined or whatever, or it's insufficient or something. And I was like, what? That's impossible. Oh no. And I remember I got home and I was so worried that by the time I got home, even correcting the information, they weren't going to give it to me. But I got lucky. I was able to correct my information, and then I didn't miss out on anything. So I actually got lucky. She finally sold out on Big Bad Toy Store. I think the only reason she may have took a minute to sell out was because most are a bit nervous about the terror. And yeah, that's a true thing too. It's hard to know what she's going to actually cost you right now. I got mad as a kid. The actual Power Rangers came to my city, but we couldn't find out where, so I missed out. So missed out. Next city over said Rangers would be there, but it was a fake out. I know. I get that. This is a weird thing, but I remember they had Michelangelo in a parade. And as far as I could tell, it was the movie costume. I'm talking like step for step, the exact costume that was used in the movie. And he was on but it was only Michelangelo. So I don't know if they sent like a different turtle to different parades or something like that, but he was in our area, and I got like an autograph from him and everything. And I remember being excited that I got to meet Michelangelo, and at the same point, completely disappointed that the others weren't there and that he was not my favorite. Like, I specifically remember going home feeling a little off about that. Imagine as a kid seeing a big guy. If you have the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers box set, it has the live show. Oh, okay. I don't have the box set, like the special one. I just bought the seasons that I wanted to see. So I have like the first like 15 seasons or something like that all on DVD, but the single sets. So I don't have that. That's why I don't like pre-ordering. I'm surprised your bank didn't think your card was stolen. No, I didn't have a problem like that. The worst thing I've ever had with my card in terms of that was one time I slid my card at a kiosk, and so I slid my card at the kiosk and I bought my drink. Beep. Then I left, thinking nothing of it. The little screen went away, seemed like it was fine. Somehow there was a glitch in the system and my card was still tied to that system. And I ended up buying everybody's drinks for that day. I got hit with like this massive charge, and my bank like stopped the card and sent me a warning saying something was funny, yada yada. That basically this one, I owed like something like, it was some ridiculous amount. Like it was like almost $300 to this one vending machine. And I was like, what? No, impossible. And they were like, yeah, we figured that. That's the reason we blocked the card. And then they sent me some information about it. It was wild though. I don't usually buy figures and the like online. First, because shit economy, too expensive. Second, because my dad almost got jumped and robbed going to pick up the package. Wow. I wish I could tell you I didn't know what that was like, but I got hit in the parking lot a couple times. Speaking of Power Rangers, I still own the 1994 Marchin Megazord Dragonzord sword that plays the music to summon it. I have the Legacy Collection Dragon Dagger. And I also have the Legacy Dragon Zord sitting, I think he's actually up there right now. Let's see, I saw the TMNT parade at Disney MGM Studios same year they had the Rocketeer Museum. Rocketeer, that's crazy. Remember you saying that. Saying what? That I got hit in a parking lot? That happened a couple times in my life. I got one time I got hit. I didn't get hit. I was very young, and my mom got jumped. And it was by a couple of guys. They like ripped the earrings out of her ears and all kinds of crazy. And I was just way too small to do anything. Like I tried to run up and like they kicked me out of the way and everything. So that was like not a thing. Oh, the vending machine? Yeah. No, the vending machine. Yeah, that was crazy. And then the other time, I got hit a couple other times. But the craziest rob I've ever had, like getting robbed, was I came out of a place. It was pretty late, to be fair. I came out of a place and I got tackled from behind. I can laugh about this now, but like, this was kind of crazy. I got hit from behind. I got kind of tossed to the ground. And then another guy came up, and while one guy held me down, this other guy, instead of reaching into my pocket to like take my wallet, this guy grabbed my entire pocket with the wallet and then just pulled as hard as he could, like over and over, like 2 or 3 good pulls, and just ripped my pants, like from the pocket all the way down, taking out my whole pant leg, just like it's kind of funny to me now, but like, and then he ran off with like just a big strip of my jeans. They both like just took off, and then I got up, of course, and I was like, oh damn it. And like they were gone at that point, and I was like, crap. And I had to go with my butt hanging out, one pant leg completely torn all the way down, underwear showing and everything. And I had to like roam around the bus stop and try to explain my pants to try to get $1 so I could get on the bus so I could at least get home so that I could try to deal with it from there, like turn my cards off or something like that. Like, that was the wildest one that ever happened to me. Did you see the Morpher on Big Bad Toy Store for over $200? I did not. Peacock's trade, dude. You don't know. I know you guys think that's a joke. I know. Peacock walks up on me, I will kick that mug across the. No way. I have no love No love for the Peacocks anymore. Not after one straight up absolutely attacked me. They should have kept Zach, Jason, and Trini at least long enough to do the movie. Yeah, I'm going to say you're right. I think that they got screwed on that. I think they should have been the ones to do the movie. But like, just like we've argued, it's our hobby. It's their business. And as soon as those kids realized that they had power, as soon as those kids realized that they could get what they wanted, in order to make it work, they needed a full walkout. I know this from experience. I've worked in unions for a long time, and I can tell you the problem is that if your union is not strong, if you don't have people that understand and are not together in the union doesn't function. It doesn't work. If you're not willing to do your part along with everybody else, the union doesn't function. When 3 of those kids walked out, they still had enough crew to just go on without them. It screwed them. The only way those kids were going to get higher pay and win that fight is all of them had to walk out at the same time. They had to get the whole team to walk out, because at that point, there's nothing they could do. Like, they would have to gamble on the fact that kids were going to wait through reruns while they recasted and tried to film all new stuff and set up a whole storyline as to what was going on and hope nobody really questioned it. Then you would have had them. But they didn't get that. Like, if you want to make something like that work, you need around an 85% walkout guaranteed. And if you don't get that, it doesn't work. The businesses will just go on without you. They can replace 50% of their workforce, no problem. You don't like to think that they can, but they can. And so if you don't have like an 85-90% walkout, it won't work. And sadly, those kids, they were too young and did not realize the amount of power they actually had. Had they banded together and everybody walked out that door, they'd have got it. They'd have got it. And if I was them, I would have banded my entire team together and I would have walked out that door and I would have asked for only one thing. One thing. 1% royalty rights. 1% royalty merchandising rights per person. We're done. That's all I want. I will do the rest of this show for chump change. It doesn't bother me a bit. All I want is the 1% merchandising rights, 1% royalty rights from this point forward. That's all I'm asking. So I'm asking for 6% of your profit margin goes to us. 6%. 1% for each person. That we'll fine. We'll do the rest of the show at minimum wage. I don't care. Let's do it. Because at that point, every time they milk the Rangers, every time they show the kids, every time they do a Megazord, every time they re-show and try to re-edit or do this or do comic books, those kids would get paid. That's the way to do it. That's what you want. Then it's hard to get. It's almost impossible to get, but that's what you want. Ooh, that's fun. Don't know if you're going to see the Thunderbolts, but if you are, some spoilers and the post-credit scene has leaked online. I'm behind in Marvel, but I haven't given up on them yet. I'm trying to catch up here and there. I think I still have about 6 or 7 movies I have to watch before I'm caught up. And the series, it's just too much. I can't watch all the series and everything and like keep up. I can't do it anymore. Did you ever watch Ulysses 31? It's only 26 episodes animated, but amazing retelling of Holmes' The Odyssey. No, I have not. Typical as Nolan is making his version. I know, I've not seen that. Saban wouldn't let that happen. He pocketed all the toy money. See, but that's just it. That's how a union works. Saban wouldn't let that happen. Give him no choice. And look, if it turns out that you get nothing, if it costs you and you end up getting nothing, you were still the originals. You were still one of the biggest heroes ever. You were part of one of the largest phenomenons in the history of television, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and you could have walked away with that. And Personally, I would have. I would rather take the chance to get paid what I'm supposed to get paid and then just be a memory, or just be a memory. And if I'm just a memory, that's fine too. Because all those guys went on to do other things. They would have been fine, in all honesty. They would have been fine. Every single one of them that left that show went on to do other things. So I don't think that really would have made that big of a difference. They should have went for gold, but they needed a 100% all heroes walkout to make it happen, and they didn't have it. They didn't have it. They got 3 guys out of 6. They couldn't win that. Another thing that baffles me is the show, they retconned the movie, so right after the movie and the show. Well, that wasn't necessarily a retcon. That gets really... How do I put this? That's a licensing agreement. Basically, Fox owned the movie, the storylines, and the rights to those characters as separate entities. And then the show, Saban owned the rights to his storyline and his characters as separate entities. And so they weren't the same show to begin with. The movie was always standalone under licensing contract. So there was no way that the show could have used the movie at any point and can't reference the movie because the movie technically never happened under the rights that they owned. So that's another big problem when it comes to doing franchises like this, is franchises get really muddied in all the paperwork that kind of like mucks it up. I do want to see Superman 2025, very much so. I know Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was non-union. I never claimed that it was. But if you look at the history, the crew, not the Rangers, the crew got a raise by doing everybody went in at the same time and said, you will give us this or we will leave. And this was right before that happened. And this very much, they were like, no, you're not getting shit. And the crew said, all right, good luck to you. And then they had no choice but to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Here you can have this. And from the two different talks that I've heard from 2 different people on that show, both of them have said the same thing. They got to talking with the crew. And the crew was the one that said, you guys need a full walkout if you're going to make this happen. And they thought, they were ignorant enough to think that 3 guys were going to make it happen. 3 guys is not enough. I know Rangers was non-union. I'm not oblivious to that at all. But when you have something like this, they had power. You could not have done Power Rangers if all 6 kids walked out in the middle of filming right there. Nothing. No, you won't get anything from us until we get something from you. If everybody would have done that, everybody, it doesn't matter that it's non-union, they would have come to talk. Because sadly, business is cutthroat, and sometimes if you don't have power in power, like if you're not Jack Nicholson, where you could just make ridiculous demands, this is what I want, and if you're not going to give it to me, then you can't have me in your movie, then you need power of collection, and they had it. They were the stars. People didn't care about the Rangers at the time. They cared about those kids. People didn't just say, I like the Red Ranger. They liked Jason. They liked Tommy. That's a big distinction. That's a big deal. So you couldn't have gotten away with it if he would have just, every single one of them would have walked out. He would have had to come to the negotiation table. There would have been nothing he could have done. If they said, hey, I think we really need raises, and he said, you're getting nothing. And then they said, then you're getting nothing. And all 6 kids would have walked out. I promise you, history would be different. I absolutely promise you, history would be different. Those kids would have been paid. There's no doubt in my mind. None. Because I don't think they would have taken the chance to roll the dice to just try to go ahead and replace all 6 of them. They didn't have the option back then. The show was too young. But you'll notice that, just to go back to this real quick, you'll notice that changed Rangers here in America forever. Forever. Because this little thing that we're talking about right here, the fact that they didn't get a full walkout, but they got a half walkout, they got a partial walkout. As soon as they got the partial walkout, Rangers started taking steps to get people used to the idea that the kids cycle out. I know that had been happening for years in Sentai, but you can't always compare Sentai to the American Power Rangers. These are two very different shows with two very different cultures. And culturally, we like our Captain Kirk, I'm just making a wild reference here, to be William Shatner. If you'd have went 4 seasons of the original series and then did a 5th season where they replaced Captain Kirk, American audiences would not have been about that. We like to see our actors become legacy guys and continue. There are entire studies, people that watch things there are people that watch things like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and they only watch it up to a certain point because once the actress changes, they get irritated by it. That's a real thing. It happens. It happens all the time in these kinds of medias where they switch out major characters, where they flip one, and then they lose part of their audience because the audience feels put off by that, or they don't necessarily follow it the same way. It kind of messes with them. Here in America, we like our actors to kind of be tied in. That's another thing with the MCU. That's the reason people are still looking at the same Hugh Jackman Wolverine, because we are trained as a culture to like this one person you get in the costume. And we like to think, this new guy that they got as Spider-Man, he's going to go the distance. And we like to think he'll go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies. We want that. Instinctually, up here, we've been trained to want that. But that's not true in other cultures, like in Japan, where Super Sentai can just flip them out every time, and most audiences are okay with that. They're like, well, this is the nature of the thing. We get a new story every time with new heroes, a new enemy, a new thing. They didn't do that here. That wasn't normal practice. So the fact that this did happen the way that it happened means that what they ended up doing after that, they said, oh, this could really screw us. And they went back and started making storyline changes. And I promise you, it was worked in at that point. We need to start getting people used to the fact that these kids are going to go away. We need to get on that Sentai life, and we need to get that every single season is new kids that will then go away, that we don't have to worry about this ever happening again. And what ends up happening there is that over time, they kind of shuffled these 3, then they shuffled this one. And I'm not saying these people didn't say, hey, I want to try something else, but this was in their benefit. Slowly but surely, they had these people switching out. Okay, now we're going to try this. Now we're going to try this. Now we'll get them 2, 3 seasons in. Now switch these kids. Now get rid of this one. And then they finally just went for broke, and they said, every Rangers is a new group. Bam, 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 bam. And they've maintained that, and that allows them to do this kind of stuff. Because now people nowadays, they get mad because they're like, what's everybody so stuck on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Because we know those people. Like I said, you know Jason, you know Trini, you know Zach, you know Adam, you know Kimberly. These are people that you know them. But if you go up a little further into Wild Force, you know Red Ranger. I'm not saying you don't have a certain Power Rangers team that you like and you may know all the characters, but the average everyday person does not remember every character. They remember, yeah, that one has like a yellow, a pink, or whatever. What was that one that was the pink? Does she die or something? That's a normal conversation with normal people, and normal people make up the ratings, not us. We're fans. We're a very different breed of people. We don't make up the ratings. We can't do it alone. We need the masses to watch it with us. That's very real. So this had to be done over time to get you used to the idea that the Rangers would switch out, so they never had to deal with that again. A walkout nowadays wouldn't even affect Rangers. If they were doing a Rangers series today and every single person said, "Nah, we're done," they'd say, "Okay, bye," and they'd just do another. It wouldn't faze them at all, because now they've gotten used to the idea that sometimes the teams change. I'm a bit more excited to see Fantastic Four. I can't wait for that movie. DC wins again. Would love to get animated style TV characters in toy form. Star Trek animation figures, MASH, Greatest American Hero, Married with Children, Buffy. Married with Children. Why do I feel like that? Oh, because that's about to be a cartoon. Oh, I was thinking, didn't that just get a set of figures? But that's about to be a cartoon is the reason why that was on my mind. Kind of glad, because this is how we got Johnny Young Bosch. Absolutely. And it's not that I don't like some of the other people, but yeah, that really is... It's a cultural difference. Doctor Who has a way out with regeneration, and that's built into their series on purpose. Fresh Prince became a safe sitcom once Aunt Viv 2 and Baby Nikki came along. It lost its raw edge. Aunt Viv won for the win. See, that's what I mean right there. That's what I mean right there. That's 100% what I'm talking about. You change the actor and claim it's the same person, people don't let that go here. We don't go, oh, you got to give that person a little time to get the character. We go, that's not Kirk. Or whatever you want to reference. I know that Kirk wasn't changed until like the reboot movies, but I'm just referencing in general that is the way that we look at things. When Leonard Nimoy said, I don't want to play Spock, they just went to bat and gave him anything he wanted, just begged him to do the movie, because they didn't feel they could recast him. They didn't feel like that was a viable option, because that's not the way it works over here. I want to see Superman more than Fantastic Four. It looks so promising. Haven't been this excited for a comic book movie in a while. I'm hoping we're about to turn a corner and see some more... See some comic book movies that don't have to try to be super dark to get your attention. No, this isn't. I'm not ranting. This is fan conversation. Don't misunderstand any of that. And I want to see the pendulum swing DC's favor. I would like to see DC actually make something. I want to see typos. Sentai really doesn't have new seasons, it has new series. Right, it's a very different industry. No, that's absolutely fine. Let's actually, I meant to do this. I apologize, because the idea was to have this going while I ranted, not after I ranted. So let's get something going, absolutely. Let's do... that, I think, should be a good run for these for right now. These guys are over towards the side here. Let me move this. Put that over there like this. Ah! Dang, man, I'm telling you. It is not happening, guys. Son of a... Oh, did I get it? Ugh. Ugh. It is not happening. I need to heat this up like crazy. It is poking the crap out of me, though, I'll tell you that. Like, his bat ears are no joke. Let's open Adam Sandler. If anything, it would have been like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ended and they made EO, but it's a completely new thing, new story, but I know it would have been way too risky. Well, here in America, there would have been a problem with that. See, if your show ends in the middle of your show and you try to like keep going, the real problem that would have happened here in America was that while you might be able to sell, oh, well, something happened, blah, 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 we've got to start Sentai over, and you have an entire culture that's already used to the idea that they're just going to get another team and another series, we don't have that. So just like over here, as soon as that happened, people would have thought it was a different series imitating Power Rangers, even if it had the same name. Because there were, as soon as something is successful over here, we just try it over and over. I'm sure that happens everywhere. We just try it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and everybody wants a piece of the pie. Ninja Turtles gives way to Biker Mice from Mars and Street Sharks and Battletoads and so on and so forth. And so like the same thing was happening with Power Rangers. During that time, Power Rangers had a ridiculous amount of other stuff that was trying to be Power Rangers, and all of it failed. All of it. And not necessarily because it was worse, but because people wanted what they already had. Because that's the way it is. Usually something comes out, something grabs our attention over here, that becomes the thing. A couple of imitators might be able to latch on, but for the most part, nobody wants to leave the thing that they're doing. That's not the way it works over here. Adam Wedding Crasher. Your opinion on Ramen Toys, Bread Truck, and Charger-style vehicles. Their A-Team versions of the Bread Truck is amazing. So I saw this thing, and that is awesome that is a thing at all. That it's a thing at all. But I will say, it's not something that I'm going to jump on. However, the fact that we're seeing stuff like this, it opens up the possibilities, man. Like, if Mattel comes out, right, and they're doing their figures, but they absolutely will not do the other stuff, well, there's a bonus here. They won't do the vehicles. But something like this would do the vehicles. And they just gotta call it Hot Rod Bat Car or something like that. And you know, this stuff like that. Like you said, it's a bread truck. But we know what it is. You get what I mean? White hearse. There's your ghost. You know what I'm getting at? Like, we know that this is an out for them to be able to do something they didn't necessarily have the rights to do, but it's just a van. It's just a van. That's why we didn't get the Die Ranger suits. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, Atom Smasher got auto-corrected to yes, and like I'm just kind of leaving it up there now. Big Bad Beetleborgs did really well beating Rangers, but ran out of footage. You really think that did they beat the Rangers' ratings? I don't remember that. I wouldn't say that you're wrong, though. It was just 2 shows, and how they adapted the OG show was shoddy. So far, it looks like we are going to be opening up Wonder Woman and Atom Smasher. I'm going to give this a little bit more time. I'm going to go let the dogs out, and then we'll figure out which one of these characters we're running with, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So I will be right back. Got to let the dogs out. Okay. Well, there he is. So we will open this guy. I've been looking forward to this guy for a while. So we're just going to jump in. We're just going to do it. Ready? Atom Smasher. This is from the Black Adam movie. However, it did not bother me at all to pick it up because it's still Atom Smasher. The cool thing about that movie is that they didn't really jump too hard around the costumes. This guy will still work for exactly what I need him to be. I need an Atom Smasher on the shelf. I need a giant dude that can punch things real hard. There he is. Absolutely fantastic. So cool. No problem whatsoever with this. Would I have preferred a comic version? One could argue maybe, but it's not gonna break my heart necessarily that we didn't that we waited. You what I'm saying? It's not gonna break my heart that like this is what I have on the shelf. I think he looks good enough that I can convince myself that's what he is. Because I mean, that's what he is. Even the back, the artwork here, this is one of those things with him that kind of does confuse me a little bit. Why isn't that just like a picture from the movie? Like, why? Like, is there a reason that's not a picture from the movie? I have no idea. Not that it bothers me, though. One thing that was cool about him is he came from the Overstock store, so he was $20. And I'm not going to cry about that at all. Let's open this gigantic dude, shall we? That's what we're going to do. Okay, so first thing that we are going to do is we are going to go into the card here. Atom Smasher, Albert Julian Rothstein. Yes, that sounds correct to what I'm remembering. As one of the newest recruits of the Justice Society, 20-year-old Al Rothstein, which I do seem to remember that. I remember him being a younger guy, like one of the guys kind of being trained, even though he was an older kind of hero-looking guy. He can transform his molecular structure to grow to towering heights, which alters his density to become the superhero Atom Smasher. What he lacks in experience, Atom Smasher makes up for with brute force and an endless well of youthful optimism. As I said, this guy's power is grow big and hit hard. That's it. It doesn't sound like a big deal. But for the kind of team that he's on, it works perfectly. I think what I love sometimes about the JSA is that you could have somebody like Atom Smasher on the JSA and he will work just fine, as opposed to put this guy on the Justice League. Put this guy alongside Martian Manhunter. I can grow really big. I can grow really big. And when I'm big, I'm strong and tough. And then Superman's like, oh, that's cool. I'm indestructible and can like push the moon out of orbit. And he's like, oh. And then he's like, oh, well, Martian Manhunter, I can get really, really big. And Martian Manhunter's like, I can also change my size and become completely intangible and put my hand through your head and then go solid for a moment and then pull my hand back and you'll just like spasm and die. And he's like, oh. He just doesn't have anything. And then he's like, well, that guy right there just talks to fish. I can be absolutely huge and I can punch things really hard. And they're like, well, actually, he can survive the pressure on the bottom of the ocean. So up here, he's actually nearly indestructible. And he's just like, oh. Well, I'm still better than Batman. Batman has no powers at all. And they're like, yeah, that's just a rumor. Batman has the power to just win fights that he has no business winning. Oh. He wouldn't be able to. There's a reason that this guy doesn't show up on big hitter superhero teams. But there's something that I love about the JSA because like everybody has to pull their weight. And usually you don't have a lot of characters in the JSA that are like absolutes. You have a Flash, but he's not as fast as the other Flashes. He's considered to be one of the slowest. But that's fine. He doesn't need to be super, super ridiculous, break the rules Flash speed. He just needs to be the Flash. He's the fast one. You need a guy like Commander Steel. He's your tank. This guy's kind of a tank, but he's more of a bruiser. He gets really big, and then he throws that punch, and he throws it so hard, it's like an atom bomb is going off. Like, he's super ridiculous strong. But he can also be put down a little easier than you'd like to think, because he gets big like this, just like Gigantus, and somebody does this wicked uppercut, especially somebody like Superman or something, and he's down, he's out. But this guy is cool looking. Like, he works. He's everything that the McFarlane figures are. Like, I'm experiencing no difficulties. He has all the same movement and everything that all the McFarlane figures have. He's just big. That's all they did, was take a figure like they would have made with any other guy and made him big, which is a good thing, because some of these other figures, the big ones from McFarlane, they're not this. Like, you got a King Kong, but like his arms, he can't move. Why would you do that? You got like a Godzilla, but he like is barely articulated. You got that new guy that just came out for the 2025 Superman movie, that big happy sea monkey looking dude. I don't know who he is. I cannot recall that from comic books right now. But like him, that guy is there. They just made him, and he can barely move. Like, this guy moves. For a comparison, for what it's worth, this guy, that's cool. It's not the biggest guy in the world, but that does make a difference. This is now a big guy. So you could pull off those scenes where, like, he's standing there and he's big compared to a lot of the other guys. And as the other guys are fighting, he's in the background punching out something else that's, like, bigger or a bigger problem. Or maybe he grabs a hold of, like, one of the strong guys or something like that. Or he's... You know, this is one of those guys that often, when you would see it in, like, something, he would grow really big, and then, like, the one guy that, you know, like a Doomsday or something like that would then, like, jump at him and, like, knock him over, and it would cause, like, a big, you know, like, the ground would shake as he hit the ground, like, oh, crap, and everybody would, like, oh, no. The size of this guy makes me wish they would have done, like a Gigantus. Like, that would have been cool. Am I saying her name right? I think I'm saying her name right. But, like, that would be cool. Like, I like this guy. It's very simple, but it does everything that I want it to do. And it doesn't have to, like... It was a simpler time. I mean, I say that every time we talk about the JSA, but it was a simpler time. You could just have superheroes that just had like one power, and that one power was important in a team of superheroes that were all pretty much on par the same way. That's not a thing anymore. Superheroes are almost overdone now. Like, you look at somebody like, you look at the Justice League. The Justice League is broken in ways that we don't even really stop to think about sometimes. Like, who's challenging them? Who even can, realistically? Every time we do something with the Justice League anymore, it has to be like a world-ending event. Because their powers are so ridiculous. Superman stops world-ending events by himself. Wonder Woman stops world-ending events by herself. Green Lantern stops world-ending events by himself. Like the Martian Manhunter could easily stop a world-ending event by himself. And there's just a team of these guys. And then they got, like, Hawk Girl. She could fly. I believe she has, like, a mild healing factor and her mace hurts. Like, what? Like, there's times that you look at some of the characters that get referenced into these teams and you go, what are you even doing here? Like, what do you... Go home. We've got this. You're not needed. Like, and I hate to do that because I like Hawkgirl, and I'm very much looking forward to that release because they have these two Hawkgirls coming out, and I want one of them. I know I want the main one more than the other one, but I don't care if I get either one of them as long as I get a Hawkgirl. And there's a Hawkman that's actually from this collection as well, the Black Adam movie. If I could track that down, that'd be really cool too, because I'd love to have a Hawkman. There's a lot of things in this line that I still would appreciate putting on the shelf, in all honesty. And to know that I may not actually get that chance, it is kind of a bummer. But then that just means we need to enjoy what we got while we got it, get what we can, just hang out, talk about it. That's the way that it is right now. So, Atom Smasher, awesome. He's here now. I don't know how much more JSA I need to hunt down. I mean, realistically, there's probably 20, 30 other figures that I could hunt down. But I think in order for my ideal Justice Society, I think I have enough on the shelf now that the only thing I'm missing is my two cornerstones. I need to hunt down Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and then anything else I get from that point on is just extra. I think I'm there now. 2 figures left to hunt down. Once I get them, I've got my JSA. Go back to the chat. Looks like... Oh my gosh. Is he actual size? He's actual size, but he feels much bigger to me. Fun fact, the tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills was actually going to be an Ultraman adaptation, but they lost the rights, so they made a god-awful suit. Good. Do you remember the superhuman set? Yes, I do. Let's see, the only common writer related, let's see, Batman. Yes, Batman has money. Money is power. That's kind of true. I didn't hate this movie. It wasn't my favorite superhero movie that I've ever seen, but I didn't dislike it necessarily either. Marvel Heroes comics. Let's see. My Hero Academia, One Punch Man. Let's see. Oh my gosh. There was some real talking going on in here. Gotta say, Justice League Unlimited, Morgan Le Fay was a great villain against the whole team. Hope McFarlane does Hawkgirl movie figure. I love Hawkgirl. Oh, okay, yeah. No, absolutely. But I want that Hawkgirl that he's putting out, actually. And I don't know if I'm really hoping that I hope this movie is great, but I hope I don't see this movie and then figure out that I wish I would have put my money down for the stuff that's coming out, because until I see this movie, I don't have a connection to it, so I have no reason to buy any of it, so I'm kind of staying away from it. I'm hoping that doesn't bite me. How many DC heroes have the name Atom? Atom Smasher, Captain Atom, and am I missing anyone else? I imagine there has to be more than that, right? Right? Is that really it? Because my mind is not coming up with any other examples. Turning you sweet into nitroglycerin punch anything to death just once, having that strength from a generic workout routine. Okay. You, big old giant dude, can stand over here. Oh yeah, he came with this little stand. There. Now he will never fall down. Now he has this perfect stand, and he will always have just enough foot down. I only got the Superman and Crypto and Metamorpho with regular Superman. The cape is plastic. I know. Stand comes with every guy. At least this guy actually needs a stand. He doesn't fly. Let's see. Next. There it is. Oh, okay. Cool. Because we had a 3-way tie here. So this one will be interesting. I am actually wondering how this one's going to work. Okay. So, let's do this one then, shall we? Captain Cold. He's not Mr. Freeze. I thought about getting a bunch of villains for the shelf. I did. But realistically, it's been tough to decide what I would get. Like, okay, if I got a really good Wonder Woman for the shelf, right? Would I want some of her enemies? Maybe. but they're not about to put the Silver Swan out. I don't even think they've done a Cheetah. They don't have that Gigantus. Like, did he do an Ares? Is there an Ares? Maybe I could get an Ares. Like, I'm drawing a blank. That's been a problem, is that he does a lot of heroes, and he does some villains, but they have to be really standout. This guy is one of those guys that I have a chance at. Right here. One that I know. I know Captain Cold. I know he's from the Rivals. And here's the thing about the Rivals, though. Even if I was to come by the other members, I don't actually want a Captain Boomerang on my shelf. It doesn't really do anything for me. But, like, this guy, I like. Would I want a Trickster? That's rough. Like, I'm having a real tough time with that. Would I? Would it matter? Do I care? I don't know. And I think I'm coming up with no. Like, realistically, I think that I'm coming up with no when I think about it. The more I think about the characters that I would put on the shelf, they fall into the Batman category. I would put a lot of Batman villains on the shelf. Now, he has a fantastic rogues gallery. But that's a problem. If I got a Flash on the shelf, I need something, right? Well, I got to thinking, and I knew that I was buying him. And that's fine. But it's a little cliche to always have the only villain on the shelf, the mirror villain. This guy feels right to me. It always felt to me like Captain Cold was the second best villain that he had. It just felt right. He would like freeze the ground. It made it difficult for him to like run or do certain things. And because he could change the air around him and whatnot, because of that gun, it would slow the molecules and it made it more difficult for Flash to actually get speed and things like that. Little things like that I kind of liked. I enjoyed Captain Cold. And I also kind of admired the idea that like the Rivals were not murderers. They were career criminals that were out to get their own, but not necessarily out to hurt people. I always thought that was kind of neat about them. Very different. A different kind of villain. And one that kind of works very well for the Flash. They would put people in danger. But oftentimes in multiple comics that I read, they wouldn't go that extra step and like kill somebody. At least not that I remember. Maybe there are very different versions of it in very different comics that I did not read. I don't know. But if I had to pick one villain, this was going to be him. One villain for Flash, it was going to be Captain Cold. I mean, yes, but it was going to be Captain Cold. So, I'm curious how these faceplates work. Let's check him out. All right, so, oh, I almost don't like what I just saw. Okay, so a couple of things here. One, that's just there. I thought that maybe that would be for this. It is not. It's not an actual place to put this gun if you are not literally having it in his hand directly. He comes with punching hands. He comes with expression hands, like they're kind of open. And he comes with gripping hands for his gun. Makes sense. He does come with the ice gun. He comes with 3 different faceplates. And they look like a better system than what I saw with Guy Gardner. That looks like it's probably going to be better than what we saw with Guy Gardner. I can't guarantee that. I like this guy already. There's a lot of little detail in terms of the way the boots and everything are, and like this. And I like how this is kind of a malleable thing. It's got a lot of action to it, but it's, you know what I mean? It's not cloth. Cloth actually probably would have been a bad thing here because it would have laid down and looked awkward across all the other stuff that's very blatantly plastic. I think that would have been a problem. I am concerned with one problem. They've got this little band tied around his head. Is that an indicator that these faceplates don't stay on? I hope not. But we're going to know because I'm going to pull this thing off. There's that. I'm not seeing any problems necessarily. There's this face. Then we have this super serious face right here. And then we have this like smirking face. So we're going to try the serious face. Get him by the chin. Oh, yep. Okay. So you just kind of lift the chin and pull out. And then that gives him this. That's his terrifying no face. So I'm guessing. Okay, this is kind of rough. The hood kind of moves out of the way. All right. So I'm not going to say that's super easy. But I'm going to say it works. It's a little bit of a pain. You kind of go into his chin because he has a very hard chin. You kind of pull it up, you pull it out, and then when you're putting it in, you kind of move the hat. The hat is malleable, okay? It's the same kind of plastic that this is, that rubberish material, so that's fine. In terms of the face that I want on the shelf, though, I am going to pull this because I do actually want this like sinister smiling face. I just kind of like that. We're going to make him right-handed because it makes sense because that's where the gun really should have went. Oh my. That just fell right off. It's not a problem with the figure. It's just that I was holding him by his hand. And of course, you know how the McFarlane figures are. So get this hand on there. There we go. Give him this. Come on, buddy. I want you to hold this gun. Why would they make this thing so big? There. The gun is weird. Especially because, like, his hand is kind of small. And this very much feels like a female action figure problem. Because the way his hands are sculpted, they have like the glove parts. So like it's really tight. And there's a lot of extra like detail in the area of the glove here. And that makes the gun kind of hold weird. And it almost feels like his hand doesn't fit. Almost like when you have a female action figure in Star Wars or something like that, and she can't really hold the gun because the guns were not designed for the smaller hands. It almost feels like that. But once I got it in there, it feels like it's going to stay. Now, I saw the variant of this guy, which is very much like the Super Friends variant, and he had like the blue skin. I didn't want that guy. I passed on that guy on purpose, but I did have the chance to buy him. It's just that when I think of this guy, I think of the human-esque guy, not the Super Friends guy. Not too much else really to say about him. I like him. I think he works well. I think he's got a lot of detail. I like the gold. I like the armor with the coat and everything like that and all the fur and everything. I think this guy works out very well. The only thing I kind of wish, and this is a stingy thing. It's a stingy thing. I kind of wish that we were in an era for these figures when we could get just a little bit more. It would have been cool to get like an ice effect. Either something that connected to the gun that showed like a shooting line or something, or like a little thing, just like with other figures that come with like a little stand. If his stand would have kind of been like a platform of ice, so then I could have done like a scene where he's shooting the ground or something like that, and like the flash is coming in and kind of sliding on the ice. That would have been cool. But I don't dislike the figure by any means. I think he's terrific for what he is, and I think he'll go on the shelf, and I think he's not going to disappoint me, like literally at all. I think they'd have been hard pressed to do much better under the circumstances, in all honesty. Let's see what's going on chat wise. For what it's worth, I have Iceman. Let's say Giganta. That's what I was trying to remember. If they did a cheetah, I think it was DC Essentials line, which I don't know if that is McFarlane. I don't think it is, and that would be a real problem because she wouldn't be the right size. Wow, you could tell how few people know Wonder Woman bad guys because I only know Cheetah. No, a lot of people don't know Wonder Woman bad guys. She doesn't have a rogues gallery that gets like used or talked about very often. Captain Cold just needs to chill out. Maybe he should take a chill pill. He's wow. I think I have thought up the absolute must-have on your shelf, a Vanisher figure. Maybe that'd be awesome. There is a Vanisher figure. I looked him up. He's too expensive for me. I did actually look him up. Mirror Master. It's not that I don't like him, but like I'm not going to go out of my way for him. Do I know the turtle? The Rogues. The Rogues. I kept calling them the Rivals. That's okay. It's whatever. But yeah, they are called the Rogues. That's specifically what their group is. I don't know why I wanted them to be the Rivals. Is there a reason I wanted to be the Rivals? I have no idea. At this point, I care about the parody stand-ins for popular superheroes like The Boys, Invincible, Venture Brothers. I don't. I grew up with superheroes. They mean something to me. They fill something in my life that's hard to explain. They give me hope and understanding and virtuality, like virtues and such. Like superheroes mean too much for me to just like constantly jump to the new like thing. Like when I think about things like I know The Boys is a thing, and I know that a lot of people like it. I haven't even bothered to watch the first episode. Like there's nothing about it that excites me when I look at it and go, oh, okay, evil Justice League. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like here's the thing. It's like I want to see it. But there's something about it that automatically ticks in my brain that makes me go, all right, I know what that is. And then I'm done with it before I even turn it on. And something about that bothers me. I really need to get over it because I know a lot of people like it and I'd like to see it. But like that happens with me sometimes. Invincible, J. Jonah Superman, like And I've seen some stuff on that too. And like, I look at it and I go, I would probably like that. But then I look at it and it just like, what it makes me realize is that people don't like Superman because they don't understand him. So then like hardcore versions or mere versions of these same characters come out and they're like, check it out. This is basically that, but this is for like your generation. And the thing is, it's just that people never took the time to understand what it was. Like people look at things like Superman and they go, oh, Superman is boring because reasons. And I'm like, tell me one thing you actually read start to finish, an entire Superman story. Tell me one, and then tell me why Superman is boring. Like, and most people can't do it. They're like, and they'll say things like, oh, well, I've been watching Invincible. It's kind of like if Superman, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't even know Superman. Like, and that's, my mind automatically goes to that. And then it becomes very hard for me to like get into stuff like that. And I hate that I do that because I also don't like to watch something where my mind is already made up because then I know how I'm going to feel when I watch it. So I have to wait for myself to come down off of that to then like be in a state of mind where I can try it out. And it's really hard to get myself sometimes. And he comes with 3 flavors of your favorite ice cream. It may have just been to keep the face from falling off. I think it was, because it didn't seem to give me any problems after I took it off. But it did scare me when I seen it on there. I was like, oh no. Gonna go to the gym. Not sure if I'll come back before it ends. All right, man. Gonna get buff. Well, good luck to you. I'm only partially laughing. I get it, man. I'm actually going back into my workouts right now. It's not a simple thing, and it's gonna be a lot of work to put myself back where I was 3 years ago. I think Brightburn would make a great mirror for Superman. He's a child, so Supes can't really hit him. Right? Brightburn is in the same category because they hint at a similar evil version of JSI mirror copies too. Okay, we have one more figure from this current run. Oh, there she is. Yeah, because we got one more. That is 1,000% true. Because at 41, I'm finding it a lot more difficult to go into the garage, move out the workbench, do the weights, put it back, and go to work on that bag. I'm doing it. I really am. It is a slow process, but I'm getting it done. I'm actually here soon because I'm gonna go over this, and this might be the last figure because then I'm gonna go. I have a very long walk that I've been taking that's kind of getting my stuff together where I go way, basically I live on this big hill, like down a large hill, and I go like all the way around that block. And it usually takes me about an hour and a half to make the trip, and I'm usually pretty worn out. So if I open this and then make the trip, I'll be able to get all the way back here, get in my car, and then go pick up my wife, and it should work out perfectly. But let's see what this is about. When I walk, I often listen to like my podcasts and whatnot. If I'm not feeling my podcasts, I get on that music. And actually, when I'm boxing, when I work the bag, I specifically have a rule set. I do my workout, then I put my radio on, and I go at least 3 songs on the heavy bag. That's what I do. So I use it like rounds. Most songs are anywhere from 2.5 to 5 minutes long. So I kind of take that as an equalizer, sometimes for 3 minutes and 40 seconds and so on and so forth. And you never know exactly what you're going to get. So when a song goes on, I go to work on the heavy bag. And I use everything that I know. So I actually treat it like it's a real fight. I don't just test punches or whatever. I actually hit and I move under and then I roll and I come across and I bring in and then I I hit and I move, and then I act like something's coming at me, so I step back, and then I kind of roll to the side, then I step in with the jab, and I keep things moving so that it feels like a real fight. So I'm using everything that I got, and then as I go, once the first song is done or whatever, I step off and I give myself about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I hit the next song and I go for another. And it's harder to do now than it ever used to be, man. It used to be so easy for me to run that, and now it's not the same. Like, they say getting old, it ain't a joke, man. It changes you. It makes fundamental changes. So, Wonder Woman, Flashpoint. It's been a while since I've added a Wonder Woman to the shelf. I was lucky enough to find this at Overstock. She only cost me 13 bucks. Flashpoint, as we talked about, is something that I liked a lot. I mean, it just worked for me when it happened. And so I don't really have too much else to go into on this. If you're at the point, if you're not on the live, then you're seeing this as a chapter. And so I will, of course, have it in the annotations that we talked about Flashpoint, and just that it really hit me at the right time on the Batman figure. And you can go up to the annotation and see that. But for right now, this figure alone, I loved the idea of a Wonder Woman that had to fully embrace the warrior side. I thought that was really cool. I often wondered in this what happened, because it seems like her mom, at least in what I saw in Flashpoint, and it's been a while since I've read it, it didn't seem like her mom was a thing. Like maybe her mom had died or something of that nature, because it didn't seem like that part was there. If she was, I'm not remembering. But I do know the entire story where basically she got with Aquaman, and after she kind of messed around with Arthur, Mera found out, and then Mera was unhappy, and then Mera decided that she was going to show this Amazon that nobody takes her man, and that Amazon showed her that nobody raises their hands to an Amazon unless they are willing to go to the death. And that was the end of Mera. And then, even though it takes two to tango, and even though Arthur very blatantly created that situation, not saying that Wonder Woman, not saying Diana was innocent, saying that he didn't man up, he immediately made it like, oh, Diana did so wrong and blah, blah, blah. You kind of caused it. You were the one that was playing around when you knew what the consequences could be. And guess what? The consequences were bad for the entire Earth. Now, this figure, it was part of that Build-A-Figure wave to build a cyborg. I don't want skinny Superman. I wouldn't mind angry Aquaman. That would be my dream Flash, but he is way out of my price range now. And then her. So, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get this cyborg. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I will, in all honesty, get over it. Since I'm not going to get him, whatever. I will be more than happy just to buy the other cyborg that's currently on the market, and I guess I'll just bag that head. That's fine. I'm not crying about it. I have an entire video talking about Build-A-Figures and how I'm not a big fan of them, and how I absolutely will not be doing Build-A-Figure things. This is not the channel where you will see me come in and say, hey, I got a whole wave. Let's talk about the whole... I cherry pick everything. It has to mean something to me or it's not going on the shelf. And of course, Wonder Woman does. Let's open her. Okay, let's see. She doesn't come with any extra hands or anything like that, which, in all honesty, I know some people are going to think that that's like a negative towards the character, where they go, oh, well, this character should have come with something. I'm of two minds about that. If that video is, if you're seeing this in the live, then this video is not up yet. But if it might already be up before I get to doing this in a chapter. So if so, there's going to be a video, or there already has been a video, depending on when you watch this, that specifically talks about 5 things you need to understand if you're getting into collecting. And one of those things that I specifically talk about is that your stuff will accumulate fast. I don't honestly always need 6 or 7 or 8 other hands to add to my continuously growing hand supply. Like, I don't need it, okay? Like, I can live every now and then with there only being this. I will say the movement on this seems different. Like, I'm noticing movement right here, but it doesn't feel exactly the same as all the other McFarlanes. It feels a little bit different, but not in a way that seems to be bad. The head is bad news. It moves, but like, well, okay, well, the hair, it must just be the head. It probably just needs to be broke out a bit, because I didn't expect the hair to be like a rubber-esque material. That actually helps her a lot now that I've got her kind of moving. The cape is, of course, a rubber cape, and there's like this thing that kind of holds it off her back, so it kind of gets that movement. I kind of like this chain here. This was an awesome Wonder Woman. Like, it just was. This Wonder Woman was so cool, because we often don't get to see Diana as a warrior 100%. We know that she is dangerous. She's one of the most powerful things on literally the planet. She is incredibly strong and incredibly dangerous if she would ever choose to be. And here, she was at war. And it was not like superhero situation where she was like, hey, we're at war, and she's still being very much Diana. This was different. This was the warrior 100% with the heart removed, but in a way that storyline-wise kind of made sense. The circumstances of our lives will sometimes dictate the person that we are going to be. That's the way that it is. Certain circumstances and certain experiences that we go through make us the people that we are. And it's really cool to see that in a specific situation where she was pushed and she never got to develop the kind of person that we knew her as, she could have been something very, very different. And she was. And that was one of the coolest things about Flashpoint, was specifically that stuff. Now, the legs, they are not like normal McFarlane legs. They're the 90 degrees. They stop right here. They don't go any further. Everything about her is a little bit different in terms of the other McFarlanes that we know. So she does have what feels like some limitation. Like, that doesn't necessarily get in her way, but it's not doing her any favors if I'm like trying to do, like, posing is going to be real tough with her, if not impossible, in all honesty. She's very much built for war, and she's very much being restricted by the stuff that she's got on. Luckily, in my circumstance, I don't need her to do too much other than stand on the Wonder Woman shelf. So, like, it doesn't necessarily bother me. But if you are looking for this figure to be like a standout, if you liked Flashpoint, she's really cool for being what she is. If, however, you want a really cool Wonder Woman from Flashpoint that has all the movement and articulation and desirable features that you would want from your Wonder Woman, I'll be perfectly honest, you won't find it here. She feels earlier in the line, like they were still kind of playing around with possibilities. Like for this Wonder Woman, they got rid of the ankle problems, but they kind of create a new problem. For this Wonder Woman, they added a change in the way that the wrists don't move at all. There's nothing here that does this. It doesn't up, it doesn't down, it doesn't left and right. There's no movement here. One could argue that in the armor there wouldn't be. So we're not going to hold it against it too much. They tried some things. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I've made this argument a couple of times, and I'll make it again. At a $20 price point, there are things that I am willing to forgive. And since all I really need her to do, for my purpose, especially since I got mine for $12, I need her to go on the shelf and be Flashpoint Wonder Woman, she will do just that. And I will not be disappointed. But I will, in the back of my mind, keep an eye out for maybe, just maybe someday, they will do another one. And that one might well just be an absolute figure. We'll see. We never know. We never know exactly what the future holds. That is all the figures today. So I got Flashpoint Wonder Woman opened, Flashpoint Batman, Reverse Flash, Atom Smasher, and Captain Cold. I got 5 figures on the shelf today. That's not bad. I'll get about 4 videos out of this, and then I'll debate whether any of our conversations need to be turned into chapters or whatever. But for what it's worth, not bad. Not a bad run. And I'm trying to make these more common, while I'm also trying to keep up with my obligation to keep pressing videos and making the topic videos and things like that. If you have any topics, don't be afraid to drop them in other videos to say, hey, I was thinking about something. What about a top 5 of this? Or what do you think about this? Or sometimes that very much helps me to keep moving, and maybe I can answer those questions in actual videos that go up on the daily too. But we'll figure that out as we go. I'm always, the last couple years have really been a lot of figuring out exactly what I want this channel to be and how I want it to work. And I'm kind of getting the groundwork laid out as we move towards 2K, in all honesty. I'm debating getting the Fletcher Superman on the fence or whether or not I want to get him. I personally love him. I think that's one of the best figures in the entire Todd McFarlane line. I remember that. Didn't the Atlanteans and the Amazons go to war on Flash? Yes, they did. Yeah, and that's actually the reason why a quarter of the planet was flooded, is because he was using his abilities to flood the landmass and stuff like that and take away the fighting advantage that the Amazons had. And the Amazons were pressing him hard enough, at least they must have been pressing him hard enough that he thought himself in danger, because he then specifically captured, was it Captain Atom? Is that who that guy is? I can't remember. But he captured, I think, that Captain Atom or whatever, and was going to use him as a weapon in this doomsday machine. And the only reason you do something like that is you've been pushed. You're at a point where you only have one weapon left, you're in trouble. I feel like the Atlanteans were losing the war. I can't guarantee that. They never give us a guarantee. But if you're at that point, there must be a reason you're even considering such an absolute devastation. Has Todd done Mary Marvel comic or movie? I don't know. Maybe Because, like, he did the Shazam movie characters, didn't he? Would she have been in that line? I don't know. I feel like there's a good chance that one actually exists. But, for what it's worth, guys, thanks for hanging out. And I'm going to get out of here. I got to go on my walk and everything. And everybody take care, all right, guys? Glad to have been on today's live stream. Good night, everybody, and stay safe and hydrate. Absolutely, guys. Take care of yourselves. Later on, guys.